This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
The letter that Theophanie says, "Why don't you just ask me?" I know the answer. I think she knows the answer because it happened with Lilith.
Maybe Theophanie was the one who made a channel and then Theophanie was her sage because she is doing exactly the same journey that her father was doing. Maybe she's into something that Violet doesn't know yet, but Markham maybe knows, because that's precisely one of the reasons that maybe Daddy Sorrengail has to be eliminated.
Are we just going to ignore this as a foreshadowing? Is Xaden going to have to kill Bodhi?
Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we cover chapters 43 to 45. And just heads up, we use strong language, express passionate opinions, and explore complex themes.
This episode will contain spoilers from all three books, as well as snippets of information we've had from Rebecca Yarros since the release of the third book.
And before we start with the squad brief, quick reminder, you can now subscribe for exclusive content. Think early access to episodes, bonus episodes every month, and totally ad-free listening. You can even try it for free and cancel anytime. For the best deal, check out our website, faithfullyfantasy.com, or if it's easier, you subscribe right on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for instant access.
Also, if you're enjoying the show, take a second to rate us wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all of it. It helps more fantasy lovers find us, and it's one of the easiest ways to support what we do. A quick tap and you've made our day.
And now, without further ado, let's get into a squad brief.
This week, lightning strikes with Riddick, but we manage to convince him that Xaden isn't the enemy, but it's on Riddick's terms. We're done with the Isles, the mission failed. We make it back to Basgiath, and Kat is not only a step closer to home, but one step closer to being queen. Queen Mariah is dead. We get more hints about Violet's second signet, bring back Violet's questionable flight maneuvers from Fourth Wing, celebrate our Shadow Daddy's birthday, and are reunited with our old friend Felix.
Well, we're getting closer to the end, and now we're going back to Basgiath.
Yeah. I don't feel like a lot happens in these chapters, but we do get some hints, I think, about what might come in the next book.
Yes, I believe exactly the same too. Time for a history lesson. Let's dive deep and see what is the past is hiding about the future.
Chapter 43, Epigraph. If possible, hunt the enemy during the day. Their markings are so easily hidden by the shadows of night that it would not surprise me to find they walk among us. Venin, a compendium by Captain Drake Cordella, the Nightwing Drift. So, does this mean they only walk among them in the night? I don't think it does. I think it means they are, always around them, but it's too hard to spot them at night time.
It's a little bit complicated because what does it mean? Physically, you can notice the difference of the venom when it's in daytime. Maybe you can see more like the veins or something.
If you look really closely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because this just makes me wonder, is there any other character we only see at nighttime and we haven't noticed yet? And this is maybe like a hint to maybe tell us that, yes, this person is more likely to be a Venin.
Oh, I wish you told me that before. I could have done some research.
And still in my rereading or everything, so I'm going to keep an eye on this kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. Also, just isn't it funny that Drake is the expert and he hasn't managed to spot that he is traveling with a Venin? I find that so funny. Drake, he's quite clearly distracted by a certain mirror Sorrengail, I think. He's not looking. He just does not believe that Xaden would be Venin.
Yes. He probably think because Satan has been always fighting against the Venin, that maybe for him it's just unthinkable that Satan will channel to turn into the stuff that he's been fighting for so many years.
Yeah. Also, this epigraph made me think about when Xaden asked Violet to, or not asked her, he tried to teach her the difference between his shadows and the night shadows. That kind of, they're harder to find in the dark, but Xaden needs Violet to be able to find him.
Yes.
So there's just a bit of a throwback to that.
Yeah. So let us be suspicious, because I used to think that, yes, it's just because he's a shadow wielder. But now this epigraph is like relating Venin with shadows or darkness.
Dark wielders.
Yes. So maybe that's the hint, because there are dark wielders that wield the dark as well, somehow, like a laser magic for the Venin. You know?
Can't be seen.
Yes.
So we're in the forest, and Violet is doing her absolute best to convince Riddick that Xaden is a good person. She's saying Basgiath would have fallen if he didn't kill the sage, but he didn't kill the sage. Just nobody knows yet. I keep forgetting on this reread that they still think the sage is dead.
Yes, it's a little bit strange, because we're saying that Satan, he just turned to Venin to protect Violet, but in that moment, he was basically trying to survive. So maybe he was thinking he will die, and that will kill Violet. But when he defeat, I was going to say, Berwin, nothing changed for the exterior, because the Venin and the Wyvern, they're still fighting. They didn't even knew what happened in that fight with Berwin and Satan. So he didn't change anything for the other people. It's not like, oh, the leader is dead, then the other ones are retreating or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was the wards coming back in that stopped everything.
Yes.
Yeah, but we knew the sage wasn't dead. I mean...
Yeah, we, from the first time that we read Iron Flame, we knew that he will come back somehow, somewhere. Yeah,
when someone dies off screen, it's not really a death, is it? We learn via Riddick. This is where Riddick's research and all the stuff that he was doing comes into play. So we learn that an Asim is no longer physically able to deny the call of a sage. And this is really, really important, because Berwin later, and we'll talk about the dream later, but Berwin says he has ways of making Xaden comply. But this is kind of evidence that an Asim is not able to resist the call of the sage. Xaden isn't an Asim yet, but by the end of this book he is. So is this kind of foreshadowing that the next book Xaden will have to do the bidding of the sage, whether he wants to or not? He's going to have no choice but to do it.
That's going to be the interesting part for me, if he's going to do it even when he doesn't want to do it, or he's going to do it and he just had no objects about it. He just do it.
Yeah.
Like soulless at this point.
Also, Riddick says that there's no recorded cases of initiates walking away. So every single initiate either died or progressed to Asim. Do we think there's any initiates that are still under control or walked away?
That epigraph about there is no cure, there's only control. Somebody has to be in this point. It's just delaying. There's maybe it's not completely an Asim. So at this point, I don't know if we were talking about Lilith, or could be Brennan, or maybe they were talking about both. Jack.
I think Lilith walked away. I think she channeled once. I think she walked away. I think we've got proof that she channeled once. The story on presentation day. That
is the most suspicious story from the Imperium series. And that's the thing that made me think constantly, she was a Venin, or she is a Venin.
She's not a Venin, she's dead. She's definitely dead, but I do think she walked away. And I think Theophanie, and we'll get to it, the letter, but it is worth talking about now. The letter that Theophanie says, why don't you just ask me? I know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think she knows the answer because it happened with Lilith.
Yeah.
They were so connected, weren't they? That I think that's how she knows how to either walk away or what the control is.
Yeah, maybe Theophanie was the one who made a channel, and then Theophanie was her sage.
And trying to get her.
And she...
So she knows how she resists it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think. Because I am convinced that Lilith channeled, but I am also convinced that Lilith is not a Venin, or was not a Venin at the time of death. She wouldn't have been able to die that way, surely. Anyway, we'll get to that bit, and I'll say it again. I'll really want to hammer home that point today. I'm also surprised that more riders don't reach for the power to save people they love.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like, I don't know who wouldn't do it. It's weird that Violet wouldn't do it. Like, if there was any threat to my children, or you, or my parents, or my sister, like those people that you just could not live without, of course I would steal the magic.
Well, Violet, she was a little bit under temptation when she was
but she didn't do it. Does that make me a bad person? Yeah, it probably does, doesn't it?
Straight away you would be a Venin.
If my family and friends were in danger, yeah, I'm pretty sure I would.
I mean, if that's the only way to save them, basically you're sacrificing yourself because your humanity or everything that makes you, it will die when you turn into a Venin. Yeah,
so how is it that more Venin are not doing that?
More riders.
More riders, yeah, but more Venin aren't the same as Zayden.
Yeah, I don't know if it has to be something about the signet. If your signet is not that powerful, maybe you are not so aware about the power within the ground. Because with Jack, he has to find a Venin to teach him how to channel from the ground and everything. But Zayden and Violet, they are like aware of the power. They can see it. They can feel it. So I don't know if maybe the more power you have, the more power you can see around.
Yeah.
Like Taryn was saying to Violet, she holds more power. She is aware about the power that is beyond the walls.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. So Violet still believes there's a cure, even though she's been told that there isn't a cure by the Irids, and she's talking to Riddick. She's like saying, I've only had like a few minutes to process that. I still believe there's a cure. I just want to say that I am firmly in Violet's camp. I just don't want anyone to ruin this for me. I believe there's a cure. There's got to be a cure. I mean, this book series, if there's no cure, like the cure is no magic for anyone.
I'm gonna stick with what we said last episode. If you are trading power because you are just greedy, then yes, your soul dies, and there's no cure for that. But again, in Zayden's case, it's not the soul that's been affected. So I think in his case, there will be a cure.
Yeah, agreed. She says, in some dark wielder's head, or in some forgotten book. I think that'll be both. I think we've got Theophanie, obviously, annoyingly, she didn't ask her, even though this is where Violet frustrates me in this book. Just as one thing. She is desperate for a cure. She is scouring the continent, although she didn't ask in some of the places. Like, she only went to see if the Irids were there. So she wasn't, like, really asking, was she? She knows there's somebody on the continent. She could have, like, while she was fighting her, just got it out of her. You know how villains love to talk? They love to have their monologues. Just get it out of her at that point. Why wouldn't she? She was so desperate for it. Why wouldn't she get it out of Theophanie?
Yes, plus has been a couple of times that Theophanie is saying, I know the answers for the question that you're looking for somewhere else. So just come here and ask me. So why not just like, oh, well, fuck it. I'm going to see what she can tell me. And
I don't think she would ultimately tell her. I think she would be like, channel and I'll tell you. Channel, reach for it and I'll tell you. So I think maybe Violet does know that. But we don't see her push Theophanie in that direction.
Or come with idea like she didn't have notice to, turn the stuff her advantage.
Yeah, which she could do.
Yeah.
But she's scared of Theophanie, isn't she? So.
Yeah, so I think for Violet, the thing that is the most scary thing for Violet, that she thinks Theophanie is a lightning wielder, that she's been decades just training that power. And she knows that she is no match for such a great power.
Yeah. Talking about lightning, Violet strikes the tree. And Riddick being like, oh shit, now that's going to be worse. Xaden's going to think we're doing something.
Which is confirmation that now they know every time there was lightning randomly is because she is with Xaden.
Yeah, they know. Oh, how awkward.
Yes, but I love that part when Xaden is just
it's not big enough strike.
And Riddick is like, just to be clear, we're not doing anything to provoke that. And Xaden like, yes, I know.
Firstly, I trust Violet. Secondly, it wasn't a big enough strike. Yeah. This is also the part of the book where we get another one of the quotes Rebecca Yarros shared before the book was out. So it was the "I will save him" quote, and it was replaced as "I will not die today," crossed out of the Book of Brennan. I will save him. Interestingly, Violet doesn't seem to be winning this argument at this point, so she hasn't managed to convince Riddick. So she does a 180 and she changes tact, which is quite clever. She's like, we have to keep him on our side. Imagine if he goes to the other side, we're all absolutely fucked. And this is like a change in direction. She's like, I can't convince him that he's still a good person, so I will convince him we have to keep him on our side. Because it's like keep your friends close but keep your enemies closer type argument.
Yeah, because she even said, and you think that, yes, my signet is really powerful, but I can't do the same stuff that he can do because he is more advanced in the training and everything.
And he's got shadows. Like he is really powerful. And I genuinely do think that his signet is more powerful than Violet's.
Yeah, I'm not sure what would happen if she tried to strike him with a lightning. If he makes like a shield with shadows, will this go through it, the shadows?
Oh, maybe.
Because light against, shadows. So that is the only thing that I can give it to Violet. She has just one strike, but it's like the strike.
Yeah, and she is getting better, isn't she? Like,
yes.
Previously, you would think she was not that powerful because she couldn't control it.
Yeah, before she was more like a cowboy, so she was just like shooting everywhere, hoping that she will hit something.
Well, like Bugsy Malone.
Yeah, but now she is just like
with pies. Sorry,
she's not like a proper sniper. So one lightning, one death.
Yeah. Riddick gives her an ultimatum and says, all the people that currently know are on Xaden's side, so they're going to take his side, even though Violet tries to convince them they're actually not. They are trying to convince her to run. But he says, where's the line? Like, you've got to set a line. And she says, if he hurts me. And I actually asked our listeners whether this line was a good line to set, and they overwhelmingly agreed that it was. It was like 80% agreed that this was a good line. Mm-hmm. I was questioning it because two things. Yes, like if he hurts her, he has gone too far. But he might not hurt her because most Venin want to keep her alive. Mm-hmm. Although a lot of people pointed out to me that the Venin still want to hurt her. They just don't want to kill her. So I get that. I did. Mm-hmm. I wasn't managed to be convinced that it probably is an okay line. But I do feel like if he hurts someone close to me, would have probably been a safer line, would have been a better line. But I'm not sure if you turned Venin, the better line for me to set would be if you hurt someone you love that isn't me, because the Venin don't want to kill me. So, like, if you hurt your family, if you hurt your children, that type of thing would be the line for me, not if you hurt me.
Yeah.
Only if the Venin were also after me, like, just to be clear.
Yeah. I guess maybe Violet thinks there is more than one way to hurt, not just physically, but emotionally as well. Like, if Seidan takes Violet and put her in like in a trap, and then he's the one who delivered her to the Venin. So or if physically, it's not hurting her.
If he throws his birthday present back in her face. Like emotional hurt.
Yeah.
What? I thought it was nice. I don't want this shit thrown at the face.
Before, you had to receive. No. I want the shit.
I'm not sure you could get a receipt from for what she gave him for his birthday. So Xaden arrives at this point. I think Riddick's kind of convinced though, isn't he? He's saying you've got to tell Rhys, Sawyer, Jacinia. That's it.
Yeah.
But Xaden kind of agrees with Riddick's ultimatum, and he's like, "Yeah, fair enough. That is that's fine. Do you want me to tell Brennan as well?" And we later find out he does go and tell Brennan, if Brennan didn't already know. But Xaden
as well.
Oh yeah.
Wants to turn to Dane, and like, nope, not here.
Yeah. So this is interesting, that bit, because nobody trusts Dane still. I do, but you don't.
No, not fully. I'm still thinking there will come something that he's just preparing. I don't know if intentionally. That's the thing that I want to make clear. I don't know if he's doing it.
He's just going to fuck up because he's an idiot.
Like he's going to be as bad or worse than the dad, or is the dad who's controlling him. So he's just a puppet that he doesn't know what he's doing, and then he just reacts. Like the Asim with the sage.
Yeah. This is interesting because the biggest argument against Dane being bad is that Xaden reads his intentions and trusts him. He doesn't trust him, but he trusts him enough to say, "What about Dane?" So if he is being controlled, which I know we've talked about this before, but if he is being controlled, you wouldn't have the intentions of a bad person. Yes. So that would be a way of like bypassing Xaden's
intense skills. Yeah,
that's interesting. Not thought about it like that, because that's the biggest argument against it. Whenever.
Yes, but even we're talking about this in this bonus episode that we had about it. At the moment that when Xaden was reading the intentions, his intention was to take Violet out.
Yeah, get Violet out of here.
Yeah, that was like the present. I need to take her out. I need to keep her safe because she's important for the mission that we're doing right now, whatever.
Yeah.
That was the intention. It's still a valid point.
She's important to keep alive for the Venin.
Yes.
Yeah. But I do think that he is en route to redemption.
Yeah, I think maybe it will be more painful for the readers if we find out in the end that he is doing bad things, but it's not because it's his fault. He's being mind controlled or something.
Yeah, by Kath, and he has to kill Kath.
The dragon or the father, because there's still something going on with General Athos and the Venin.
Oh my god, he's an idiot, isn't he? Right, anyway, moving on. So Xaden thinks he's failed. He's the reason the mission failed. We came all this way and I shouldn't have come. I've ruined it. I genuinely do think he made the difference with Leothan. I still keep coming back to this. I think that the fact that Violet wants to cure him and not kill him and is still able to love him even though he has turned Venin, I do think that shows that humans have evolved, and it's not all about kill. Although Violet does do her fair share of killing, I think it's an important sign, and I do think it makes a difference. So anyway, that's the end of our Isle trip. It's the end of our holiday. Holiday's over, guys. Have to go home. So on the way back, they mention that they don't think Theophanie is going to know where she is, but then again, she shouldn't have known where she was the last time. How did she always know where they were? How do you think she knows where they are?
That's an interesting question, because if you remember the very first time we saw Theophanie in this book, she was in Basgiath. Violet saw her for a few seconds and then she just disappeared, just like that. And we saw that behavior as well with Berwin when they were about to attack Rison. He is the one who disappeared. So it's like they are distance wielded, because in this scene, she was basically following them and she managed to arrive first in Basgiath before then, and she delivered a letter. So how she's doing that?
Well, we know that she's distance wielding, but she can't have been distance wielding on the Isles because there's no magic there. Too far, isn't it? Unless you don't need magic where you're going, you only need magic where you come from. But then how'd she get back again?
There's so many things that it's still not completely clear.
Because we know that Venin can't channel when there's no magic, because Zayden couldn't.
Well, unless they maybe had like snacks.
Yeah, little
like
snacks.
a bag, full of alloys or something. They can channel from that.
Venin snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have worked, couldn't it? Because we do know that he channeled on Deverelli because of the alloy.
Yeah, but the interesting part as well is when Theophanie was doing this distance wielding, the walls were in Basgiath. So how she was doing, because the Venin, apparently they shouldn't have power.
No, but she could have given her letter to Panchak.
No, but I'm talking about the beginning of Onyx Storm, when they were trying to rescue Jack Barlow. She was inside Basgiath and she disappears. How she's using this much power.
Yeah, because they did say only lesser magic worked, didn't they? But maybe if you're just so powerful.
Yeah, maybe if I just... But,
if you're already on the inside, maybe... I don't know.
Again, if you're a sexual Maven, if you can just wield that much power, you will go straight away to attack Basgiath by yourself. Because we will see later on that just 12 of them destroy a full city.
I'm not sure I fully understand how the wards work. I feel like there's some holes here, but there's probably, hopefully there's holes in my knowledge rather than holes in the plot. But you're right, like it's not clear what the wards actually do, because some people can channel within the wards. It feels to me that it's something to stop the dragons rather than...
Yeah, because remember what Jack says, the words not working as they told us how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it's not, maybe, like you said, maybe not against Venin, it's more against dragons. Or we've been saying from long time ago, maybe the worlds have been designed just to stop the dragons channeling from the sky, make them channel from the ground. Yeah,
something like that.
So we're back in Basgiath. Violet received a letter from Theophanie that she'd been following them. And then we got other news as well, a sad one. The cat is one step closer from the crown of Paramil because Queen Mariah is dead.
Yeah, when she first got that information, because she got that earlier, didn't she? And she's like, is Serena Cordella alive? I genuinely thought her sister was dead.
Yeah.
Like the first thought was sister, and then I was like, wait, is it Takaris? I just never thought it'd be Queen, because the way it's written, like one step closer to the crown, obviously it could mean the Queen's dead, but my first thought was Serena.
The person that you had in front.
Yeah, and then I thought, wait, Takaris, and then... Yeah, I just didn't think Queen Mariah until the end. I was obviously being stupid and just like rushing through it, but...
For me, it was a surprise because I really liked Queen Mariah when we met her. And I thought we would see more of her, and she was like such a great ally for Violet. So I was expecting more from her. And then when Queen Mariah is there, I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And that was the end of chapter 43.
Yes.
Memoirs of Luzbel. She loved him. She lost him. And he came back. But wasn't completely him. She feared him. She fought him. But she fell for him. Memoirs of Luzbel. available on Amazon.
Chapter 44.
Epigraph.
Buckle up. This is one of the most important epigraphs in this entire book, in this entire series.
Mm-hmm.
I am sure of it. Right. I've read this so many times. Your Majesty, unfortunately, I can find no law that supersedes the Unification Scrolls, the provincial commitment under Queen Alondra the Bold, 207.1, consolidating the province's armies under the Queen's standard for the Poromish conflict, expired with the Second Erasure Accord, and control of all forces should strike through, must return to the provinces from which they hail. I recommend demanding, strike through, asking for a new provincial commitment covering our current conflict. The provinces will never agree after the rising conscription rates. My advice, do not anger Tyrandor's Duke, who now commands the largest portion of our army. Strike through. Screw this. Strike through. I hate my job. Strike through. Unsent drafted correspondence of Colonel Agatha Mayfair, Royal Archivist.
Yes, the first time when I saw this epigraph, I'm like, wow, that is quite long epigraph first.
It was nearly a whole page.
And then really strange because you straight away okay, there's so many clues here because those strikes, what she's trying to say, what is the message here?
I think people thought it was just too long and complicated and moved on. Why is nobody talking about this? So, the reason I think it's the most important is that this is proof that the army is already fractured. So with the Second Erasure Accord, they essentially overwrote the original law from when there was obviously a queen at the time of the original Poromish the conflict between Navarre and Poromil. That said, all provinces of Navarre form a central army. With the Second Erasure Accord, and Xaden knew exactly what he was doing, and so did Brennan, whoever was drafting this Second Erasure Accord, they knew exactly what they were doing. That essentially overruled that, and now all conscripts, or all citizens who fight in the army from a particular province, are essentially their own army. So Xaden knows this, and we know that he's already trying to pull that stuff. He's saying Mira, she's based at Erasure, so she is Erasian. All the Erasian riots kind of are part of my army.
Mm-hmm.
The others don't necessarily know that yet. So those who are fighting in Lucera, those that are fighting in Moraine, etc., they all form separate armies now, essentially. And so it's definitely going to be a conflict between Navarre and Tyrandor.
Mm-hmm.
But what Navarre is, I'm just not sure anymore. Because the Navarrian army, it essentially doesn't exist. You've got several pockets of army.
Yeah.
I think this is really important. And I read it. It took me ages to understand it the first time I read it. Because I got confused by the Queen. And I was thinking, wait, the Queen, and it says Poromish in there. So I was thinking it was Mariah's archivist. And it just took me ages to understand. But it is the archivist of King Tauri.
Yes.
Advising him, but then being like, oh, this is just, there's nothing I can do about this. It's just totally dead in the water. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you must demand. And he's striked that out because he's realised King Tauri has absolutely no authority.
Yes. For me, what is clear about this epigraph is the delicate situation of King Tauri right now. The one wrong movement, and he will have a lot of provinces or even just Tyrandor against him.
Yeah, and he's in his is the smallest province.
Yes.
He's in, what's it called?
Chaldear.
Chaldear, yeah,
Yes.
tiny.
Yes, and for me, it has been proved that we will see a second revolution from Tyrandor. And I don't know if I will be Tyrandor the first one to start this attack or something. But yeah, the days for King Taurin, I think, is just
dwindling. And this is why I don't necessarily think Auric is going to be king. I think Auric is going to be a general in the army, but I feel like, one, Auric has made it very clear he doesn't want it. And two, I do think that family's on the way out. Like, you see things like that, don't you? You see the end of a...
Yeah, you see that in real life. A king is just replaced, and then it's just somebody that, maybe has some power, some money, but has to go to another country because they don't want them in the same nation. So I think maybe Auric is going to be maybe the cleverest or all the Tauris, because he will stay in the army of Navarre. He will stay in Basgiath, while maybe King Tauri and Holden, they will have to move to maybe one of the islands or somewhere else when they can stay safe.
Yeah, I don't know that. Yes, I think Auric wouldn't be the general of... I don't think there is a Navarian army anymore. I think he would become a general of the Tirish army or something like that, because he fully fights for Eurasia, doesn't he? He's part of the revolution.
Yes.
Yeah, I just the continent is already broken, and this goes back to what the discussion at the Hedotis dinner table, where Kat said those two have the ability to break up the continent.
So we start this chapter with all the people who went to the islands. They are being interrogated for at least 12 hours. They're being separated. They are in separate rooms. And it was maybe looking bad until General Athos, for some reason, he says that he was really annoying because Kintari was forgiven to everyone for all of this because he was just happy that Auric is back and he's fine. And Violet is like, oh, well, if that's happening, then I'm relieved now. This is just like maybe part of the punishment, but actually he can't do anything. Yeah. And it's just like, why?
Why admit that?
Yeah, I mean, you are in the shoes of this guy. He wants to make him believe that she's in trouble. He wants to believe that maybe the other one, they're going to get killed or something really bad is going to happen. Why on earth he was thinking to just leave that, oh, so pissed out the King Tari don't let me punishing these guys. They're like, forget, like.
He could have let them at least worry.
Yeah. I mean, if this is Varish doing it, he will just enjoy like this mental torture. But
Athos is an idiot.
Yeah, it's just I can't believe that this guy is like the general that he's supposed to be like one of the really bad guys. But at the same time, this is just showing how little he thinks.
Yeah.
So it's another thing that I don't know how to take General Athos.
I know.
Like a genius or the evil or just...
There was ages where we were like, yeah, he's the big bad guy.
And I was just like, oh my God.
I still think he's a bad guy. Like, I just don't... How has he got there? How has he managed to convince Melgren that he should be the general?
I think he was just in the right time with the right people because he was consulted with General Sorrengail. So maybe everyone was thinking, this guy is the guy because he was always with General Sorrengail. So he must know everything about this place. So he should be the one to run this place. But he actually is useless because even General Sorrengail has to send us away because he was having such silly mistakes.
Yeah.
But during the interrogation, Markham is there as well. Violet says that she can see his face. She can see the jealousies in Markham's face because she's telling about all the stuff that she has seen in this journey through the islands, all the stuff that she has seen, all the knowledge that she was getting from these places, stuff that he didn't know that is there, the stuff that he will never know. And she was like, yeah, just like my father. This made me think, is it actually jealousy, what he's feeling there? Or it's maybe concern, because she is doing exactly the same journey that her father was doing. Maybe she's into something that Violet doesn't know yet, but Markham maybe knows, because that's precisely one of the reasons that maybe Daddy Sorrengail has to be eliminated.
Yeah, I think it could be a bit of jealousy, but so you find with some people, they just like to know more than other people. And like mostly with secrets and things that are like, you know, when you find out somebody's having a baby or something, and the first thing someone says is, "Oh, finally, now I can talk about it." They're not like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you." They just say that because they want everyone to know that they knew first, or like
special for a moment.
Yeah, or like, "Oh, I'm so glad we can all now talk about it." When it's like that, isn't it? That type of person just likes to know things before everybody else. Doesn't matter what it is, but it's as long as it's a good juicy secret. And then the first thing they'll say when everybody knows is, "Oh, finally, I don't have to keep that a secret anymore," just to let everybody know. Anyway, I feel like Markham's one of these people, and he knows that so he's been keeping all these amazing secrets about the Venin, and he's like, he knew it all. And now more people know more secrets than he does. And he's losing control, and I think it's that. I don't know that it's a jealousy. I feel like it's a loss of control and a humiliation type feeling. But I like your take on it too. That's different in that we still think that he eliminated Daddy Sorrengail.
Yes, I believe that he's been involved in the mysterious death of Daddy Sorrengail. That somehow he managed to poison him. And that's why his heart failed. But for me, obviously, you talk as from the knowledge that you have. For Violet, she might think that, it must be jealousy because she knows him, that he loves secrets, he loves to have the control of everything. But there's so much secret that she doesn't know, and that maybe it's affecting her, that she's just like proud of herself because she's just thinking, "Oh, he's just jealous because I knew all of these things." But maybe he's just like, shit, she just fell on the same stairs, she will find out in the end, boom, this.
Yeah.
Okay, so after this interrogation, we're going back to Battle Brave. So we are there with the Vera. The first thing that Violet noticed is the map, and half of Cropland is all red, which means they has fallen in Venin power. And she can't understand how that happened so fast and with so little Venin, because she doesn't think that just a few Venin can overtake them that much land. And actually, there's some people that say the same that no, it's impossible. They just 12 Venin when they're saying manage to take the city. So this is a little bit strange for me, because who is lying here? It's just leadership is not telling that how many more Venins are outside, and there's way more than we think, because maybe they think they're just a few, but actually it's a full army that's able to overtake a city. Or it's just that they're not saying how much power they have, because apparently only 12 managed to kill more than 20,000 people.
I've got another idea. So I get the question's slightly different, but this is like the land drained. So the land is being drained now, like rapidly. I wonder if outside the wards, the dragons and the griffins are channeling from the ground, but the magic is wilder and they can get more of it. So they're contributing because they're fighting on the other side of the wards, and they're also draining the land. So I wonder if the fighting and all this magic fight is actually draining the land quicker because they're outside the wards. So the wards must do something to, yes, they stop it channeling from the sky, but do they also limit what they can take from the ground? So dragons are more powerful outside because the magic feels wilder and it's stronger and you can feel it beneath their feet. And actually the reason the land is getting drained so quickly is because the dragons are also taking it, and the griffins.
So another interesting point of view to see it, yeah.
But Craveler still miraculously fine. So there's like a lot of talk that Craveler will fall in book 4. I genuinely don't think it will. My question is, when will people start getting suspicious of Takaris? He's now the king of Boromir, and he's still sitting down in Crovler.
Yeah.
Unarmed, and well, it's not unarmed. He's got his flyers there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, if the Venin, they just want to go there, they can just destroy everything, like piece of cake. But they never go there.
They never go there because he's bloody Venin.
Yeah, Terwin.
It's so obvious to me. Yeah, Terwin.
Yes, it's incredible that nobody ever, like, in this book are thinking it's a little bit suspicious that Takaris is always living in this massive palace, like no massive weapons or army or anything to defend it, and nothing happens.
And they've like skirted around him. I know that it's like, no offense to Cornwall, but if you wanted to get anywhere in the UK, you wouldn't go via Cornwall. And this is very niche. Like, you got to understand the UK geography. It's like right at the bottom. It's a beautiful place, and that is like, yes, it's touristy, but mostly unruined because it takes such a long time to get there. And I think Corden is the Cornwall of the continent, and you go there on holiday. But yeah, I feel like it's so obvious that if he's not Venin, he's blooming made a deal with one of them, hasn't he, to keep his house safe?
Yes, it's definitely has a deal with the Venin. Either he is one of them.
Bowen.
Yes.
Terwin.
Or they had an agreement. Gus know what he is trading with the Venin, and change that they're not going to destroy the city or don't do anything to him. But it's definitely something that is just clear. Yeah. So in this battle brief, we start to seeing the wyverns and the Venin. They just appear from nowhere. They can't understand how, because there were a few of them. And they start to seeing was because there was a storm. The storm was moving to the city, and they were flying within and the storm.
Yeah.
Then Violet started to put all the pieces together, and then she realized that Theophanie was the one who was with them, because she is a lightning wielder. And she will be able to manage all the lightning so they can fly safely, because Violet said that she could do that. Theophanie is an expert. She could do even more than her.
Well, yeah, but we know she's not a lightning wielder, don't we? We know she's a weather wielder. But
at this point,
don't know that. Yeah.
At this point, we all knew, or we thought, that actually Theophanie was a lightning wielder.
Yeah.
That she was Violet match from the Venin side. And yes, this was something that maybe we start to see how powerful she was, and then we start to see that she was a Maven. She's not just a regular Venin. She has to be a Maven to do this kind of stuff. After the battle brief, the thing they're talking, so Rihanna was pushing Sawyer to make him go back to the flying field. Sawyer is still not sure about it, because it's the climbing the dragon that he's still saying that he's not sure. That he said that if he is sit in the dragon, he thinks that he will be fine because he's just working with the tides. But it's the climbing that he's still not sure. And Violet is telling him that, I completely understand, because this place is just pushing the people to be perfect, and sometimes you are not fitting that standard. So Violet understands very well, and she offers the help. There is anything that she can do, just ask. And I think this is when we start to see that Sawyer understands why Violet is saying it, that she actually wants to help, and later on we'll see that he actually takes her word.
Yeah, this whole thing made me really suspicious of Sleeg. Not in a bad way, but just like, Sleeg is definitely not 10, and Sawyer says Sleeg is not 10. He won't make adjustments.
Yes.
Especially when he took the risk of bonding with a repeat. I Do you think Sleeg brings that up all the time? Feels like Sawyer's got a complex about it. Do you think Sleeg is like, oh, the repeat? Or feel like Sleeg is really serious and maybe as proud as Tern, but not as accepting as Tern?
Well, Sleeg is a red dragon, and the red ones are a little bit temperamental.
Angry.
Yes.
Not temperamental. Orange ones are temperamental.
No, orange are unpredictable.
Oh, yeah.
So I think red ones are temperamental, orange unpredictable, green ones are like the wisest and intelligent. Black
Brown
ones,
are boring.
brown shit.
Brown's boring.
Blue, they are vicious, I guess. Black, they are just too proud, I guess.
Curmudgeons. So yeah, I don't know what I just got the feeling that Sleeg maybe constantly reminds Sawyer, and it felt like there's a few times where Sleeg isn't talking to Sawyer or isn't channeling to Sawyer, or it feels like there's something, and I wondered maybe if it's not bad, maybe it's not that he's ashamed of Sawyer, perhaps he's ashamed of himself because Sawyer lost his leg protecting Sleeg, and Sleeg possibly feels like he should have protected his rider, and that it's actually his own fault that his rider lost his leg, because I don't know, I just got some feeling that something was off between Sawyer and Sleeg, and perhaps it's that he's so proud that he's ashamed that he couldn't cover his own back, couldn't cover his rider's leg.
Yeah, I had the same feeling. There's something going on between them, but I don't know if it's just because Sleeg thinks that Sawyer is just maybe disappointment because lost their leg and it's not a full rider anymore, or it's maybe because Sawyer is the one who is putting the excuses and he's not trying harder enough to go back to be a full rider.
Yeah, I'm glad that he does get back on the dragon, but there is still a part of me that, like Rebecca Yarros said in the interview when we saw her in London, that Sawyer has a very important character arc and she's like setting that up. I don't think he's not known, like he knows now that Xaden is a Venin, and there's not 5 months between now and the end of the book. Is there? We really need to be on the lookout for the timeline, but time is going quite slow because she's saying in this stretch of chapters, she says she's only had her power for about a year. It is bonkers because I think Iron Flame takes place over about 6 months, doesn't it?
Threshing is always the
October
1st October, and then she took
she channeled in February or March.
Yeah, it's still winter. The very first time when she channeled, so it's right now the end of March.
Fourth wing.
Yes, in fourth wing.
Yeah, so 6 months it took them to like December, didn't it? End of Iron Flame, and now they're only in March. When does this book end? That's the question. It's not long, is it? So Sawyer isn't the brother, basically.
Yeah.
Just trying to say.
No. The Xaden said after Simi struggling for 5 months.
Exactly.
So we're talking about basically from the moment when Xaden turned into a Venin. So it has to be
Bodhi,
Gary or Imogen. But Imogen, she was in the end with Violet, so it can't be her.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. Maybe Imogen is there as a Venin, but then she just stay.
No, Rebecca Yarros said pay attention to who's missing.
Who's missing, yeah.
Auric. But again, Auric doesn't cover the 5 months unless he knows that.
And he haven't seen Xaden struggling.
Well, unless
you count the stuff in the islands as a struggle, but...
Or the premonition. Unless he's precogged it. And he's... Yeah. Anyway, I'm just trying to rule Sawyer out here. Although we know that Sawyer has a very important character arc. The only other thing that could be, well, not the only other thing, there's loads of things that Rebecca Harris could throw, but one of the things is his link to the narrator. Because if we think, we've got to remember Jacinia is narrating this. Sawyer is dating Jacinia as far as you could date someone in the middle of this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're just like properly dating or just a star. Maybe
they're
like
writing
a
letters
special.
to each other.
Yeah, and you see that at some point they were like next to the fire together, sharing a blanket.
In Iron Flame.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're together. And you got to remember that. Like, what is the narrator doing?
Yeah. So here, the full group, where they're talking, they go into the archives looking for Yesenia. So Redog asks for a private room. Once they're in the room is when he gives the look to Violet. Or you tell them, or I will. So Violet's like, oh, well, it is what it is now. So
either I trust my friends or I don't.
Yeah. So she say that is turning Venin slowly. And then Rhea is wet in the eyes and like talk. So straight away, like good friends there. She would trust from the beginning. And that is the end of this chapter as well. So chapter 45.
Yes, epigraph. I think I started falling for you the night in the tree when I watched you with the marked ones, but I began tumbling the day you gave me Tern's saddle. You'll give some self-serving excuse, but the truth is you're kinder than you want people to know, maybe kinder than you know. Recovered correspondence of Cadet Violet Sorrengail to His Grace Lieutenant Xaden Ryerson, 16th Duke of Tyrrendor.
This is just basically Violet pointing out Xaden's actually personality, that he likes to help people. He obviously he's in the position that he has a lot of people that he need to protect, like the 107 Mark ones that he's directly responsible, and obviously Aracia and Tyrrendor. But Violet knows that deep he is a person that he really cares for the people he has around, and if he has the chance to help, he will.
Yeah, I just want to reread Fourth Wing again now. Although I can't, because I did promise myself I would read 3 books off my TBR before I read anything either again or get anything new. And I'm like nearly at the end of From Ash and Blood, and I am obsessed. So I'm obviously going to chain the next 4 books, and then the new one when it comes out in June.
I still reading Fort Wayne in Spanish, but I'm doing it when I had like extra time from my phone and my Kindle. And gosh, I don't know if it's because of my phone, but it takes years when you are reading. You feel that you are like forever in just one chapter.
Yeah.
So,
I don't like Kindle on my phone just because it's just like staring at your phone. It's worse than doom scrolling, even though it's not. Like it shouldn't be worse, but it feels like I'm staring at my phone for such a long time.
Yeah.
It feels better on a Kindle or on a book. But I want to read the scene in the tree again. I know that she like dips into the shadows, and actually they're his shadows. He's keeping her hidden from the rest of the marked ones. So there's so much that like once you know and you reread that scene, it's so cool.
Yeah, I read a part a couple of weeks ago, and even when she is hiding in the shadows, she can feel the prickle in the head. She can feel it. So really, Satan is really the intentions right there.
Yeah. Oh, it's just really clever foreshadowing. And then just the fact that he manages to give her this saddle and still treats her like a powerful woman. He doesn't at any point do it the way that Dane would do it. You're gonna keep falling off. You're terrible. Your reliability. You're gonna kill yourself. I'm only keeping you safe. That kind of thing. Whereas Xaden does it like
just giving her a tool so she can focus on other stuff like lightning or fighting. Yeah.
And I know that that Mira has a part to play in that. She's like,
if you are my trolls, make sure that she doesn't fall.
Yeah. Find a way. Also, we get this epigraph here for a reason, don't we? Because Xaden is still brooding, and halfway through this chapter, Violet says, if he's brooding, I'm just going to take a leaf out of his book and then start writing him letters. We've covered our thoughts on recovered correspondence in the past, but tend to think they were either hidden or they were Basgiath is destroyed, and not that it doesn't definitely mean that they're going to die. They might, but
actually we don't know the timeline after they found the letters and the story, so maybe this is part of the museum and
somebody's
last 6.
research.
Yeah. So we start this chapter with a nightmare, and now we know there is no Violet's nightmare. It's actually Xaden's. There's the one having this nightmare.
Yeah, but we don't. So we know that now, but we didn't know that at the time of reading this the first time.
Yes, but
even though it's obvious.
Yeah.
Lightning strikes in the distance, so that's obviously Violet over
fighting.
there.
Plus, saying, and something is strange here. He's saying, "I'm gonna let you to help her this time."
Yeah.
Help her with what? Because
Who?
he's talking now. Obviously, he's talking to Xaden, saying they will allow to help Violet. But the strange part is because Violet is trying to find a cure for him. So, in what concept or what is the subject here for Berwin say, "I'm gonna allow you to help her"?
Kill Theophanie. This is foreshadowing for the giant mushroom cloud of shadow at the end. I'll let you help her this time. Boom! Strike a shriek, kill Theophanie. Berwin doesn't give shit about Theophanie. They don't like each other.
No, they don't.
So he's going to let him help her, kill Theophanie. Helps Berwin as well. They're on the edge of Drathus. Like, the flames are going. This is like a premonition of Drathus, in my opinion. I don't know that that's confirmed, but it feels like that's what it is. And then when we were first reading it, "I will let you help her this time," we thought he was talking to Violet. So who did we think she was going to help?
The very first time when I was reading, I thought he was talking about Theophany. He was talking directly to Violet and say, "I'm going to allow you to help Theophany." But it's like, "Don't forget that you are mine."
Yeah, that's probably what I thought too.
Yes. Yeah. But again, in this part now that we know that it's Satan, there's the one having this nightmare. Violet, she is only thinking, find the cure. She's not even thinking that much about Theophany. So that's why I'm thinking, at this point, what is Berwin thinking? There's Violet near that Satan can help with.
Yeah.
But something that caught my attention as well, because when she says, "Well, if I don't want to do it, like, come with you," he takes a sword from the ropes, and the sword is the sword of Tyrandor. So is this maybe a symbol, something the sage that we know is Berwin? Is from Tyrandor, maybe, because that sword is related exclusively for Tyrandor.
Yeah. So we don't think that he is Xaden's granddad, right? Because is he not too old for that?
We don't know exactly what is the age of Berwin, but we have constantly reference about the tan arm.
Yeah.
That will give some reference maybe with Satan because he's tan as well. But that's why was one of the reference for me. There could be Tekaros as well because Tekaros,
he's tan. Yeah, it could be Xaden's granddad. I guess the thing that we need to be on the watch out for is how he responds to Sorrengail at the end.
Not just in the end, when they're fighting an iron flame, when Sorrengail was having this discussion with Xaden, I choose you, don't do it, it's fighting.
Yeah, she could have been talking to him.
Yes, that's something that we were thinking before.
Yeah.
That maybe she was talking is to Berwin, to say that because they're still the bond, they're still connected.
Yeah. But I don't know.
But even at the end of this book, when Berwin is saying that he was about to kill Sorrengail so he can get free from the dragon, there's no interaction or something to make you think that Sorrengail is looking at Berwin or they have like a kind of relationship.
There's no clues. But it does make sense. Like, if you would have the sword, there's so many hints that it could be his granddad, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
The only thing that it doesn't match for me for saying, yes, it's definitely Zayda's granddad, is those 2 moments in interaction with Sorrengail. It seems that there's
they don't
nothing
know each
there.
other.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, like, there's no hate, there's no awkward, there's just nothing there. Unless then maybe Rebecca wants to do it that way to not make it too obvious.
Yeah.
And then just come on the next book with something like...
Yeah, but it could be stuff like... It could be as simple as Sorrengail's eyes narrowed on Berwin. Like, that could be with anger, that could be with... And then when you read it again, you're like, oh, they narrowed because she was like, it's you. But you wouldn't necessarily leap to that conclusion. But the more I read Iron Flame, if you go back to our Iron Flame episodes, I was definitely suspicious that Berwin was Grandad Xaden, Grandad Ryerson. So yeah, let's not forget that. I do think he's like very, very high on the suspect list.
I was convinced that it was Xaden's grandpa until the end of this book when Panchek was telling her, I'm the only one who can tell you where your son is or something like this. So Berwin, he has a son.
No. I'm sure this is just the way they talk about their recruits.
No, I think definitely it's talking about a specific person because he
I've
said,
got
I have another
one
now, like to tell me.
He's not had a baby, has he?
No, but I thinking he's referring that I have another one to tell me how to find my son, not like I replace my son.
Oh, I read it like I'd replaced his son.
No, the way that I read it was that Panchek is the only one who can tell where the son is, and then Berwin they say, I have another one that can tell me. Like another one.
Okay, that's interesting.
You are not the only one now. You have not that power now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read that obviously again, and we do have to read the end of the book before our live episode. However, I read it like I'm the only one who can give you access to Jack Barlow, who's like your like baby Venin. And then he's like, I don't need Jack Barlow anymore. I've got another son. I think you can read it both ways. And then because it's all because Jack calls Xaden, I guess we're brothers now. And then he's like, oh, there's another brother. I feel like it's just the way they talk about each other. Yeah. If Violet turned Venin and she went to Theophanie would be her Venin mother. Like, that's how I just feel like, because of the Jack interaction with Xaden saying, guess we're brothers now. That's why I read it like that, I think.
Yeah. We definitely have to read it more than now. We're going to do this live event on Instagram. We're going to focus on the end of Onyx Storm. So we can have a look to that. That's basically by the end. And then have a look by the time that we actually do the deep dive.
On the 24th of May.
Yes. So if you have an Instagram account, we will see you the 24th of May at 10 p.m. UK time. Which
is 5 p.m. Eastern time if you're in America. And then obviously if you're not in Eastern time, that's easier to translate, I think, for Americans than it is.
Yes.
From UK time. on a Saturday.
We're going to put a countdown on our Instagram account. So just go there, have a look, because you will see it in our profile.
Yes. So there's some things I want to talk about in the stream that Berwyn says. He says, such emotion. Don't worry, it will fade in time. And that's a reference to obviously the Veninism, and it's taking over and the emotion will fade.
Yes.
Again, I really don't think it will with Xaden, because I think that's part of his soul. Just a more general point about this dream that I don't think, and we said earlier in the episode that possibly Theophanie was communicating with Lilith in dreams, and we do get at this flight maneuvers class that happens after this, we get reference to like circles under Xaden's eyes.
Yes.
And we've always had reference to circles under Lilith's eyes, so that could be a sign that she was being communicated to in dreams. I just come back.
Sage.
Well, yeah, I think only Berwyn can do it.
But Theophanie was doing it maybe with Lilith.
Yeah, but maybe. But when Rebecca Yarros talked about Violet's signet and said she's only used about 10% and there's only one person who can teach her, I feel like this dream walking is a signet, not a general Venin power like distance wielding. And I don't even think it's just dream walking. I think I'm convinced that she's going to be able to mind walk. I'm convinced she's a full intrinsic. She can go in someone's mind and manipulate their actions. And I think she's been doing it unknowingly. I think she can manipulate a dragon's intentions as well.
Remember when we used to guess about Violet's signet, one of the it was maybe amplified, because when she wants something like really badly, it happens from somebody. So maybe that's something with the signet as well. If it's a mind walking, they're just going in unintentionally, and the mind of the person is asking for something or giving that push, make it do it. Rihanna, when she was on the other side of the door, grabbing the dagger, something that she never done before. But it was like looking at her and like, I need you to help me somehow. Or with Mira, when Mira trying to make her own ward, protect him when they were with Tekaros. I
do think that those things were like stress, secondhand stress. I don't think it's to do with her signet, but I like the idea.
Yeah, they're just getting like a little boost. And she didn't even realize about it.
Yeah.
So she wake up and then she realizes it's just a nightmare, it's not real, I need to just chill out, need to relax. Then she starts to feel the turn and they're sleeping. She can feel as well that Xaden is sleeping. So that's why she can go into his mind, because the shields are down, but there's a fog that I'm guessing that's how it feels when he's sleeping. But this made me think as well, if somebody is sleeping, obviously the shield will be down because it's now mentally put in dead. But then Xaden, with the intense power that he's getting, he will be able as well to maybe to see the dreams of the person, if the person had the shields down, because it's basically reading the mind or whatever is happening inside the mind. And if that person in that moment is dreaming, he will be able to hear it or see it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would work with intentions, but I do think his signet's evolved by now and he's starting to read thoughts. So I think yeah, I think he would now.
As intention, yeah. Intention now. Intention, he will be snoring.
Intentions, yeah. You do. I'm not sure you dream with intention. I think you just dream because it's your brain.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about right now.
His full intensive.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's really interesting. It comes back as well to the point about in the codex where it's like doing anything to a rider while they're sleeping is strictly forbidden. I think it just talks about killing a rider in their sleep is like punishable by death. But also kind of shows you how vulnerable a rider is in sleep because they're not able to shield.
Yes. So it would be interesting to see if I maybe say that he will be able to do it in next books. We're going to fly maneuvers and we see Kaori that he's back, and then now they're practicing a new technique that's basically they're flying in the dragon. They had to jump out of the dragon. They had to run. They had to attack, and then they had to go back to the dragon. So the dragon doesn't land. That's basically the part they had to do. There's a few people, they're doing great. Other ones, they have some broken bones. And Violet is the one that's saying like, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to do that. But then you see that she's cooking something with Tern. And then
Tern's like cooking something with her, yeah.
Yes. And they do, like you said at the beginning, some stuff that normally they used to do in Fort Wing.
Yeah. Can we talk about what everybody does?
Yeah.
I want to go through them. Right, so Bodhi goes first. And Bodhi is nearly perfect, in Violet's words. Core banks around. We find out here that Core is, by proxy, we find out that Core is quite a big dragon because he can't turn around quick enough and he smashes the boulders. And while Bodhi does it really well, Core obviously doesn't. And then Kiri says like the smaller dragons have an advantage.
An advantage, yes.
And then there's this thing where she's like, oh, nearly perfect. And I forget how like amazing he is. And then Xaden says, well, he's my cousin. Obviously, he's amazing. But this again, like Bodhi did as well as he could be, but everyone forgets how impressive he is. Like everyone forgets how important he could be. This is another tick in the Bodhi box for me. And although it's really minor, it's another tick in the Bodhi as the brother box. And she says, oh, maybe I chose the wrong cousin. And he said, it would be a shame to kill my last living relative.
Yeah.
Are we just going to ignore this as a foreshadowing? Is Xaden going to have to kill Bodhi? I'm just going to ask the question. Just going to say it.
I mean, if a body it turns Venin as well, I don't know if he will be as strong as Xaden, because maybe that was one of the reasons for he to turn to Venin, so that maybe Xaden was under control, but then he will get just crazy. He won't be able to stop it.
Is ultra powerful and nobody recognizes that.
That's something that, you know, is strange. We'll be so desperate to find out who is the new brother for Xaden, but we're not talking about what's going to happen to that new brother, because it's more likely it's not going to be exactly the same situation as Xaden, because this new brother, it was channeling maybe because it was hunger powered, because it wasn't enough.
Yeah,
doing.
Yeah, exactly. So Bodhi might be bad.
Yeah, it might loosen their soul. Like
we never trusted. I say we didn't really trust Bodhi, did we, before? And now I just feel sorry for him.
Remember from Iron Flame, when I found out what he was, his signet, I was saying, oh, this is going to be the perfect villain against Xaden, because now Xaden can't use the shadows against him.
Yeah.
And then if they had to fight, they have to be like hand to hand, because the signet, they were not going to do anything. Yeah. So maybe that's going to be... Yeah,
the one thing, though, Xaden always had was the reason Xaden had the edge was because he didn't know about his intrinsic. So he always knew what Bodhi was going to do. So hand to hand, he couldn't even beat Bodhi. He could beat Bodhi. But Bodhi was... So if you think about that from Bodhi's perspective, he should have been a perfect match for him, because he should have been able to counter the signet, and that's that. But he still couldn't beat him on the mat, and he didn't know why. And it's frustrating, because maybe Bodhi could be a better fighter, but because Xaden knows what he intends to do next, he's never going to beat him.
Yeah.
So it must be so frustrating for Bodhi, and I feel for him. He's like, doesn't want to be kept at home. He doesn't want to be the spare. He doesn't want to be seen as second best to Xaden, because he might not be second best. He's nearly perfect. So that was Bodhi's attempt anyway. Next up is Rhi, I think.
Yeah.
Rhi, like, nothing to write home about. She's amazing. Or maybe it is something to write home about. No extra special. Right, so then Violet goes after Rhi. What happens to Imogen? Does Imogen do it?
It's not mentioned here. So
and she wiped everyone. Maybe she didn't do it, and she wiped everyone's memories. She should be there, right?
I think she was there, or no, I think she was in Battle Brave, but I can't remember. See her.
Maybe she
She was my
failed.
memories.
Yeah, maybe maybe she failed.
Yes.
And
then she
wiped
was
everyone's memories.
I did amazingly.
Yeah, I wasn't there. That's interesting. Another one.
Yeah.
Where, yeah. So Violet went. What Violet does is Tan kind of flicks her off his back. Oh, she slides off his back. She's falling.
Mm-hmm.
He grabs her by the shoulders
Yeah.
with his talons. Like, I don't know how. Like, it's a massive dragon. It doesn't just puncture through the ribs.
With the talons. Like,
Yeah, grabs her.
like,
Yeah, the little tweezers, and then places her on the ground, and it does hurt her, and she like zappos the illusion, and then gets picked up again, thrown in the air, and then lands on his back. And this is exactly what they did after threshing, isn't it?
yes. Well, that's what they used to do all the time when they were flying. She fall, she just grab and toss her in the air, put her in the
Yeah.
back.
Kaori looks like he wants to protest, but then Xaden he gives up.
Well, Kaori said like, well, that's a little bit...
It was unconventional.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it says it looks like he wants to protest and say like you can't do it like that. But Xaden kind of says something and then it's forgotten.
Yeah.
Auric. Now this like just shows how much better Auric is than everybody else. Auric lands perfectly off of Mulvik on the ground, throws his axe towards Kaori, and the illusion goes away.
Yeah.
So he is, and then they're like, I think he won, and Rhea agrees. It's two things, like, I'm going to do an unhinged reason why this might be what he did. The first one is not unhinged. It is just, he is much more intelligent than everyone else. Everyone was doing the task. They hit the illusion because that's what they were supposed to do. Auric thought, hang on, if this is the illusion, I need to hit the rider. I need to hit the source of the illusion. So he did that and it worked really well. Another theory, which is like the unhinged one, is that Kaori is bad and Auric has seen this and he is like giving him a warning.
No, Kaori.
Why was Kaori doing the med tent after threshing if he didn't want to like get closer to Violet? Why does he leave his book lying around? Why is he like called the Dragon Watcher from like the dragons? I don't know.
It was daytime when they were doing the maneuvers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just some
yeah, I did think that.
You know, seeing Kaori always at nighttime.
Unfortunately, I think it's the first one. I think that Auric is just really clever, but
yeah,
wouldn't it be cool if Kaori was?
Maybe he just saw how to win. Like, just having flashes of the signet or something.
Yeah, I think it did.
So we finish the class and people are leaving, and then Kaori, he wants to like maybe say something, and then he sees a red dragon. They're just landing, and that calls Kaori attention, and he just go away to see this.
It's Felix's dragon, right?
Yes, it's Felix's dragon.
Do they know each other, or is he just like, ooh, new dragon to study?
Maybe he didn't remember who it was, because when I was reading this, I saw a red dragon morning star tale. So I was like, oh, it's exactly the same as term.
Who was it?
Yes, that's why I found them weird, this dragon, because I thought I never saw this dragon before. And then it's when Felix arrives. So
was a scorpion tail.
No, it's a morning star tale as well. So that's why Kaori is like, oh, never seen this one before.
I think Kaori would probably know Felix, though.
Yeah, probably from a long, long time ago. And maybe he saw that and he knew it was Felix. And like Felix, like, what he's doing here.
Not that long. It's just 6 years, isn't it?
It was exactly when the revolution happened, or maybe before the revolution. Don't know how long Felix has been working with Felix, isn't it?
Yeah, but Felix was probably in... Well, it was in the army. He would still have been in Navarre's army.
Yeah.
They don't get on, do they? But yeah, I wondered if Kaori knew Felix.
But yeah, it's in this moment when Kaori leaves, the Violet takes advantage to give in a gift to Zayden because it's his birthday. And he gives her a piece of onyx it's coming directly from Arabia. So she wants basically to Zayden has something from Arabia with him all the time.
Yeah.
To make it feel at home.
Yeah. This bracelet has got to come back, hasn't it? It's another one. So Mira has a bracelet now from Granny Daxton. Zayden has a bracelet. Like, at the very least, this is going to serve to remind him who he is at his darkest point. He's going to look at this bracelet and he's going to remember Violet gave it to him. Erasure is his home. It's going to remind him of home. And he's on several occasions called Violet his home.
Yeah.
So it's going to, that is the very least that it will do in the series. I am sure of it. The very most, it could do more than that. So Onyx represents like protection. It represents like absorbing bad energy. And that's how, like, why like people wear onyx in the real world. So why would it not, could it not protect him somehow in this book?
Yes.
You don't know kind of what magic is in Ryerson House. We know that it's like riddled with runes. So possibly there's something from the house in this bracelet. I don't think it's an innocent present. I think it's going to play a bigger role. And the size of that role, I mean, it could do anything, couldn't it? But yeah, in my opinion, as a minimum, it's going to remind him of home.
Yes, something that we need to remember about Zayden, he with all his this kind of bad guy vibe and all that kind of stuff, he's actually a person that he really keeps the stuff that means something for him. Yes, like he's keeping the blanket from his mom, he's keeping the stone that given the mark when his father was executed in front of him. So this gift from Violet, there's gonna be something with a lot of heavy sentimental value for him. So yeah, I think as well that it will play a bigger role later on. So as we said before, the Red Dragon from before, it was Felix. So he arrives. Zayden and Violet, they're really surprised to see him there because he was saying before that he will never go to Basgiath. But he has business to do there. So first thing, he given a missive to Zayden when we found out that another wyvern crossed the walls in Arabia. And this one managed to go closer to the previous one, which is saying that the walls are failing, the wyverns are noticing, and they're getting closer and closer. So that's another of the reasons that Zayden is so concerned, because he knows that time is ticking. Felix, another of the reasons to be there is to train her, because she's not getting anything from Car. And Violet's feeling a little bit guilty and say, wow, though you didn't have to come here because I can go there in a month. Then I had to go to Arabia for training.
There isn't a month.
And yes, that's what Felix says. And she said, oh.
Yeah. So we still don't know what Felix... And I know this is bad and we're supposed to talk about the wards, but I am so intrigued by Felix. Why do I think he's so attractive? Do you know who...
Attractive?
Yeah. He's like slightly older, isn't he? But I don't know why. I like, he's just so cool. Like, Felix is just so cool. You know who... Like, I'm excited to see who they cast as Felix. This is a really weird thing to say. We also still don't know what his signet is.
Yeah, has to be something with metal, I guess. But
yeah, I think either that, or I still think he could be a truth-sayer.
I found it really suspicious when Violet was just telling his stuff just like that.
Yeah.
Like secrets.
Yeah.
And he was just like expecting that she will say that.
Yeah. I don't mean a truth-sayer like a lie detector. I feel like one that you just like, he can get them to tell secrets. And that's how he knew about the revolution. That's how he knew about the Venin. Like, he was dangerous.
Maybe that he was banned.
Yeah.
Being Basgiath.
We do know that he was one of the 6 most powerful riders in Erasure. And we still have the, like, epigraph that says truth-sayers are more dangerous than
Intensics.
There's got to be a truth-sayer. We don't know what Suri... We know Kylan is a Aguarian.
Agrarian, yes.
Yeah. So I just want to learn more about Felix, not just because I think he's obviously an attractive man, but he's just so cool.
Yeah. I mean, it reminded me a little bit of Tarn, to be honest. For me, he's just the human version of Tarn because he's funny sometimes as well. When he's talking with Violet.
Yeah.
And yes, that was the end of the chapter.
So, Oryx Auguries, the part of the show where we talk about our favourite theories from this week in a bid to stitch them together just before book 4 comes out to see how wildly wrong we can be. What's your favourite one?
I'm thinking that sword means something from Berwyn. So I'm guessing that he is from Tyrandor, or he's related to Tyrandor.
Yeah. Zayden's grandpappy. No.
I would be disappointed if it's going to be Zayden's grandfather, but somebody related to Ryerson House. Maybe not by blood, but somebody important from Tyrandor. What about yours?
Favorite unhinged one is that Kaori can't be trusted. My favorite, I guess something I want to see more of is the bracelet. I like the idea that the bracelet is going to remind Xaden of home and that of Violet and of chocolate cake on the roof. Although, as Violet says, it's a bit too soon for chocolate cake. You know, it's his birthday.
Yeah.
So, sticking with the theme of precognition, shall we look at the epigraph for next week for chapter 46?
Yeah.
When this is over, we should take as much leave as they'll give us and spend it all in Erasure. We can figure out what life is supposed to look like without the daily threat of death. You can govern the province you love during the day, then slide into bed with me at night, or I can always join you in the assembly chamber. You do some of your best work on that throne. Recovered correspondence of Cadet Violet Sorrengail to His Grace Lieutenant Xaden Ryerson, 16th Duke of Tyrandor.
I wonder what she's talking about.
We both agree. So we can dive into that next week, can't we?
I mean, it's obviously that she wants another session on my chair.
Yeah. Shall we enter the interrogation chamber?
Okay, let's go to the interrogation chamber.
Last week, we asked, we've been to all the Isles now. Which army do you want on your side?
Oh, definitely the one from Dune. For me, those guys are just the elite of army. If they manage to beat Satan, they're just amazing. I mean, if it's not because Violet was intervening, but hand to hand, that beefcake will just defeat Satan. No doubt about it. What about you?
So I wouldn't pick them because they're only out for themselves. We've found out in the past that they pulled out because they weren't getting what they agreed for. I think they're sly. I think they don't actually care about the outcome. They just want to get what they want. So I think you choose poorly.
You asked me which one will you choose. I chose this one. There were no conditions.
Well, not like which one would you choose? I'm not changing the rules. I'm saying that I feel like your choice is bad.
Okay, why will you choose?
Zelna, 100%. I'd rather be lucky. 40,000 strong troops as well, and they're coming to fight. And we know that the negotiations went more strongly in the favour of Oryx. So I feel like you want somebody fighting because they believe it's the right thing to do, not because they're going to get something out of it.
Well, this just reminds me that I seen from 300 that you need to bring soldiers, not just people. They're not that good.
Wait and see. Let's see how they do because they're going to arrive soon, aren't they? In book 4.
Well, we don't know because if other people from St. Nisan, it took God knows how long to arrive in the
Yeah,
other
well, they're going to have to
continent.
come on boat. Have they even got
How
enough
many
boats?
boats? They have to wait to come back and then bring more.
Well, we do suspect that the Zelny have managed to harness the power of the water somehow, so they might be able to get here
surfing.
quickly. Yeah.
From
Yeah. Arrive in Decord.
yeah.
They might be able to ride on the Kraken.
Yeah. That one as well.
Yeah. Right. This week, it's Zayden's birthday, and it's too soon for chocolate cake. What are you buying our Shadow Daddy for his special day? You can custom make him something. You can buy him anything. Modern world or Navarre. Anything.
Okay.
Sky's the limit.
That's something that I need to think about.
Yeah, well, you got a week to think about it.
Okay.
That is all for this week. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. We're most active on Instagram, so come and join the conversation. We'd love to hear your theories, so if you've got a theory, send it our way. We always try to give credit on the show and on socials because, let's be honest, the best theories come from all of you.
And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
We'll see you next week with more theories, more deep dives, and of course with more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye.